Will democracy survive the next couple of years?
And essentially, we are the same.
And there are so many needs that Minnesota has.
What people are saying they need right now.
Access to democracy is made possible by donations from the following organizations. Thomson Reuters, a global company with expertise and insight to unravel complex situations in the areas of law, tax, compliance, government, and media. Their worldwide network of journalists and editors keep customers up to speed on relevant global events. Thomson Reuters, the Answer Company. Crutchfield Dermatology, a full-service treatment center in Medi-Spa in Eagan. Their goal is to help you look good and feel great with beautiful skin. With service built around courtesy, dignity, and respect, Mayo-trained Dr. Charles Crutchfield personally treats each patient and is acknowledged as one of the nation's best physicians. Firefly Credit Union, with locations throughout the Twin Cities, has proudly served Minnesotans since 1925. Firefly guides its members forward by delivering customized financial solutions to improve their lives in all aspects of banking. Firefly Credit Union, they light the way with life illuminated. Edina Eye, Physicians and Surgeons, a division of Twin Cities Eye Consultants, has proudly served the Twin Cities for more than 55 years. Now in 7 convenient locations. Using the most advanced technology combined with human touch, Edina Eye offers comprehensive services for dedicated specialists committed to excellence with innovative procedures and expertise for the most advanced eye care.
Welcome. Access to Democracy returns. Alan Miller with you, and we have a return from our most popular guest. He's been a guest since 2002. And he keeps getting reelected, so he's continuing with us here in the COVID era, 2021, and it's Senator Jim Carlson of District 51.
Hello, Alan. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Jim. You know, you haven't been here since last April, believe it or not, which is a good record for you.
Yeah. We've been busy, too.
So I have a question.
Traveling, by the way.
No, huh? I have a question for you. With 918,000 seniors over 65, how did our Department of Health require only 2 telephone lines and 1 online line for 500 shots of COVID, for one of the biggest snafus that I have ever encountered? Needless to say, I was shut out all the way around, and it really was annoying to me to see some 65-year-olds who were getting their shots, and here I am, old and decrepit, and I couldn't even get through.
We all had the same problem. It was severely underestimated what the response would be.
Well, I think they had 10 months to figure this out. They could have said people from 85 to 89, call in at 12 o'clock. 80 to 85, call in at 12:30 or something like that. It didn't take a Rhodes Scholar to figure this out, but apparently it took more than the Department of Health in this state. It reminded me of the Minlars mess.
Partly, yes, but part of it was that the instructions that the state was supposed to follow were coming from the feds. They came up with the 1A classification, which was supposed to be emergency responders, the healthcare workers, people with comorbidities that were over, I think it was over 75 at first. And we were supposed to follow those. And then they promised vaccination doses, and then we didn't get the vaccination doses. In fact, this morning we had a meeting with the Dakota County, and they still are not getting the vaccination doses that they've been promised. So this is it was a total foobar from the beginning to now. And hopefully we're going to get, things are going to step up now under Biden.
I would certainly hope so, and I expect so under Biden. And certainly having to go from here to Brooklyn Park, which is the closest place other than Rochester for shots, is also really something that seems to be wholly unnecessary. Why can't they, at least in advance, set up distribution spots in CVS, in Walgreens, or in clinics that are in your local community, so that you don't have to, especially in bad weather and cold weather, travel 20 miles or better and then stand out in the cold, as I saw many people doing.
Yep. Well, I think if you were in Michigan, you could have paid $25,000 and they'd have flown you down to Florida to get your shot. They were doing it in one-day trips. $25,000, they'd take you down there, get your shot, and fly back in the same day. I mean, this has been just totally hosed up from one end to the other.
It's been,
Again, it's, Dakota County, it does not have one of these 9 pilot spots, but they're setting up for it. CVS and Walgreens are the distributors of the pharmaceuticals,
right.
and then the people who actually inject are other contractors. And the best thing to do is to go to the Dakota County website and look for it there. And there are phone numbers there too. They're setting up, they will be setting up at the Northern and Western service centers too. So it's just they don't have the doses to be able to set up all the places that they want at this point. And because we use the Pfizer vaccine, that the super cold issue is a major one too, because they have to be reconstituted, thawed, then reconstituted, and then used within 6 hours. So it's a real problem.
Moderna is around also, and I think that AstraZeneca, from what I read, is going to seek permission next week for their vaccine. And one would hope that before we die of the coronavirus, that we might get a shot.
I hope that's true. Yes.
Yeah. So how are things in the legislature, Jim? You still have the same situation with a 1-vote majority for the Republicans. Does that mean that we're going to get nothing done again under the leadership of Gazelka? Excuse me.
At this particular time, I wish I could say, no, that's going to all change, but it doesn't look like it's changing yet. They are still pulling a lot of things that they pulled in the past. Our issues relate an awful lot to the federal government. I think that because we have a new president and a lot of new philosophies, that there's going to be a trickle-down effect of maybe getting rid of some of the lies that people were following. And I think there's going to be pressure from the public to maybe be a little bit more truthful, a little more harmony. We're not seeing it yet from the leader in the Senate. We are seeing it from some of the, let's say, the new GOP legislators that have come in, and the underlings. They are looking at being a little bit more cooperative. But at this point, I don't think we're going to get anywhere until we have some major, I don't know how you want to say it, but coming to Jesus, I guess you could say, and people recognize that we've had a fair, accurate, an honorable election, that there was no stealing. And in fact, the people who were trying to convince us that the election had been stolen are, they're very, very far outliers. And there may be some, some consequences to some of those statements that incited this January 6th issue.
Oh, I would hope that there are serious consequences, not only to the people who perpetrated that disgraceful insurrection, but the people who stood behind them. I don't want to mention names, Hawley and Cruz and even Lindsey Graham, let alone whatever his name is, who's no longer president, whose name shall remain nameless, but whose damage will last for years. Yes, but I would hope that on a local level that Minnesota could rise above it to a degree where we could work together, where they can accept the fact that the governor is the governor and has the right to do things like mask mandates, which now are national, at least on transportation and things like that, and shutting down restaurants, which in the long run enable them to reopen earlier if people would just listen to the guidelines.
Yes. Yeah. The main reason that things have not gotten better is that some people just don't know how to behave. And so they'll open restaurants and have crowded conditions. And, and I guess, unfortunately, we're not reporting the reactions from those actions. Now, the Minnesota Department of Health does do the tracing, and they do trace it back to locations and events that have caused things like this, like funerals, weddings, restaurants being open. They even know the names of the restaurants where different tracing go back to that restaurant, but they don't want to divulge the names until there's at least 100 people that have gotten sick from that particular restaurant. They used to do that.
The Attorney General has done a nice job in following up on the names that have been reported to him. And as I would expect with Keith Ellison. And, we can only hope that really these people are punished because they're punishing all the rest of us by their conduct. And that is manifestly immature, unfair, and really, I don't know about constitutional, but to me, it's unconstitutional. But let's talk about more pleasant things.
I just want to say a little bit more about the Senate. I have not been on the Senate floor this year, and nor for the special sessions, the 7 special sessions that we've had. We have a mechanism where we can vote from home. We watch it on either the Senate streaming or YouTube or Channel 2 television, and then we vote from home. The only things that we can't do is speak on the floor, and there's just a few other minor things, but I really want to get back in there. But I'm concerned, and my family is concerned, when we have Republicans that will come in and totally ignore safety procedures. They will stand and talk without masks on. They'll come and try to talk to other senators without masks on. The Democrats have been pretty good. We've only had a couple of instances of people testing positive, but they have had numerous people test positive. And then they even had a senator die from it. He was a senator that sat 3 rows behind me and passed away after the election. And he was a good guy. He was a nice guy.
That's what everybody said. Yeah.
And so, when we talk about behaviors and what the consequences are, here's a man that died because of their behaviors. So I can't be terribly compassionate that this is just a difference in opinion. This is actually it's an affront to the governor.
It's an affront, and it's just blatant ignorance.
Yes.
And arrogance. And, I hope that people will remember the next time they go to the polls, and they will carry this over, because it is outrageous for the great majority of people who try to adhere to the good practices to be punished by this few really, really outrageous, especially legislators and their conduct.
Yeah. I would like to talk a bit about something that's a little buried, unless you watch some of the programs that are reporting on the the Proud Boys, the QAnon, the Boogaloo Boys, and some of these alt-right groups that are kind of colluded in the January 6th events, and also their followers that are across the nation. They have a huge network of followers, and the QAnon especially is very, they've gone off the cliff. But what they were expecting, this is no kidding, because I've seen these emails where they say Nancy Pelosi is under arrest and they're going to execute her. That Donald Trump is holed up in the Cheyenne Mountain. This is what they actually believed. even though there was no public proof of anything like that. And then when they watched the inauguration on Wednesday, they thought that there was going to be an attack on Washington and that the Democrats were going to be gathered up and arrested and put into prison and then executed. This is what they actually thought. They believed it. And when it didn't happen, they turned on Trump. And now they're angry with Trump because
I
he
saw
wasn't
that.
didn't
I
get
saw
that done.
that in some of the reports that they turned on Trump.
Yeah,
And,
so we have a real problem with people's stability when they believe things that easily. It's a cult like we've never had before. So these people are still around and they're looking for homes somewhere, you know, some kind of alt-right homes. So they will be around until they finally get convinced that this was all a hoax on them.
well, you know, there are homes for them, homes for the mentally disabled, homes for those who can't care for themselves. But unfortunately, there are a lot of these alt-right groups right here in Minnesota, which have members. And, you know, they say the only thing that will cure this is education. But I don't know how you can educate people who have such a philosophy and such a skewed belief in what is not only irresponsible, but is impossible to really fathom.
Yeah, it's going, I don't really look at education can help some, but actually what it needs to be is deprogramming. And don't just say nationally, there are people like that here in Egan that believe those things. So
That I know. Maybe we could get Michelle Bachmann's husband to deprogram some of these people. He is a master deprogrammer.
yeah, well, you know, you and I went through the 70s when parents were kidnapping their children and taking them to deprogrammers because they got caught up into cults. And we're back at that right now.
It's really a sad, sad commentary. It's amazing. You know, they say one man can't make a difference. And I wrote a couple of articles about the fact that one man can make a difference. And the damage that Donald Trump did in 4 years is just unbelievable. It's immeasurable. And it's going to take so long to undo it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we've had one man do that in the past. You know, we've had one man do that in Italy. We've had one man do that in Germany. And, you know, there were people that still believe in those people. So it's going to take more than one generation. It might take a century for enough of this to die down.
Unfortunately. It's funny because before Trump got the nomination, my very first blog called him the Pied Piper of Hamelin and talked about the fact that the Pied Piper led people to their deaths by walking them into the river, and they just followed him blindly. And I said, I foresee that this is what's going to happen with Trump. And it was really prescient because that's exactly what happened to so many people who were weak enough to fall for this. But moving on, tell me about this new committee that you're on, civil law and data protection. That seems to be something that's really important for us.
Yeah, it's and actually we haven't really put together all of the things that we want to do in that committee yet, partly because the Senate has not done their distribution of jurisdictions. And jurisdictions, that's what guides a committee on what they're going to be working on, what part of law. So the Data Practices and Civil Law Committee is going to be working on, again, data practices. We think probably things like police videos, you know, traffic, some kinds of traffic data collection, other data collection that we want to make sure is handled properly and used properly.
And protected, and protected.
And protected.
And protected, yeah.
Yeah, if you saw in the paper this morning, there was an article about the use in Minneapolis of facial recognition. And we knew that facial recognition was not just coming, it was here. You know, casinos have been using facial recognition for probably 15 years.
But it's very inaccurate.
Yeah, well, it can be inaccurate, and it's actually less accurate for people of color, amazingly. And so we don't want to have it join the side of being a less accurate tool, and having people maybe be stopped and harassed because their facial recognition is not good. Now it's getting better, and I think that there could be some uses of it that could be very powerful. And it's kind of like our former license readers, where we talked about license readers being something that the police would use. They would download a list of licenses that were on stolen cars or other questionable things, and then their cameras would look for them as they drive down the streets. Well, we know now that that was only a camel's nose under the tent, because even in Egan, we have license readers that read the plates that are around the community center, for instance, about during 4th of July. So they go around and pull up all of the pull a record of all the license plates, and then they know when, if there's a question about some licensed vehicle the next day, that they can find out if it was in Egan. So these kinds of things are, they're coming. They're coming where even a police body cam is going to be able to recognize a person when they walk up to them.
Well, 50 years from now, Jim, if we could come back, one of the things that these right-wingers and I don't know what else to call them, but the far-right conservatives fear the most is that they're losing their white society. And the fact of the matter is, 50 years from now, it's not going to be a white society. And that's the thing that's probably compelling Trump and most of the others, the fear of white supremacy disappearing. Well, maybe there's a chance, if we don't have another insurrection or a civil war, that we can become the country that really the founders envisioned.
That's right. Yeah. Well, it's, sometimes looked upon as like the browning of America is the thing to fear. And if you happen to notice the television commercials, they are very diverse now compared to what they were a year ago right now, where you have a lot of intermarriages.
They're politically correct is what they are. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, that's the kind of thing that'll get us used to it. It's like when I grew up here in Egan and went to the school district 196, we had one Black child in the entire school district at the time. A very distinct novelty. And she kind of changed a lot of people's views of what Black people are like. And then when I got Black friends, that changed my views. So we're changing. We're constantly changing. And if we can, let's say, accommodate that, I think the faster we accommodate it, the better we're all going to be off. So I'm looking forward to that time.
When I was in the 4th grade, my family moved to St. Petersburg, Florida. And I went to a school, a grammar school there, where I took 2 days off for the Jewish holidays. And when I came back, I was asked, "Where were you for 2 days?" And I said, "The Jewish holidays." And a little girl said to me, "But you don't have horns." And, I was maybe 9, 10 years old at the time and experienced it so we have come a long way, but we have a very long way to go.
Yes, we do. Yeah. And, just that calendar issue, I have a bill to open up school calendars to show religious holidays so that teachers know that they shouldn't schedule tests on those days, and so that they know when parents ask for the children to be off on those particular days, that they can accommodate homework assignments and things like that. And I think that's a good thing. And it's not Muslim, it's not Jewish, it's not Christian. It's just the ability to correctly deliver education to all forms of kids.
Now, that sounds like a very good bill. How is the census count going to affect the state? We know that it's going to affect our congressional districts. We don't have a count yet as to whether we're going to maintain 8. But what about the rest of the state? What about our Senate districts and our local districts?
Well, the population is up, and the Senate districts are the total population of the state divided by 67, because there's 67 Senate districts. And so my district will have more people in it, but I don't think it will be much greater size in geography. So I don't think it's going to change a lot, but we still might exchange some areas. My district goes all the way down to the Savage border, but it doesn't include Precinct 1 in Eagan, which is north of Lone Oak Road, which I'd like to see us get that precinct back. I don't think there's going to be major changes personally. I do know for sure that we have a Republican majority in the Senate and a Democratic majority in the House, so it will go to the courts. I think that you can be assured of that, because there's not a lot of agreement on just how the districts will come out between the two parties. So hopefully, it would be great if we could get an agreement, but it's not going to come early and it's not going to come easy.
It would be great if we had a commission, a nonpartisan commission, that could look at this and take it on themselves to do it.
Yes.
On a really nonpartisan basis, so that we don't have some of these gerrymandered districts that we don't necessarily have here so much, but in other states, they have some outrageous ones.
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough to have to go to the courts each time there's a dispute. So, and that's all we've had is disputes ever since we've gone to a partisan legislature.
Well, we didn't get to anything that I wanted to talk about virtually, and we're down to our last couple of minutes. So what would you like to talk about? In fact, we're down to our last minute going forward in the few seconds that we have left.
Well, the big thing that I'm going to be working on is elections, to make sure that we expand access to elections. And of course, that's going to require people to realize that we did not have a stolen election, neither 2016 nor 2020. And, I want to make sure that we have the access to every legitimate voter, every citizen. And I think there'll be a lot more that you'll probably hear. There were 60 lawsuits across the nation, and there were 63, I guess, and only one was won by the people that were opposing the suitability of the elections. The others,
with 90 90 judges, many of whom were Republicans.
Yeah.
And one of the things we want to continue to have with Senator Jim Carlson is access to democracy. And we will. Jim, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you, Alan. Pleased to be here.